Hey everyone, it's Dustin with TechMD doing another phone repair today. We got the Galaxy, this is an A50. So it's a new phone that came out in the US. I think it's about a $350 phone. And it's quite cracked up. So we are going to be replacing that. There's two options for fixing this, with the frame and without. And we're going to use with the frame as it's made out of a plastic material, it looks like. So it's going to help strengthen it. And it might be a little bit easier to do it with the frame on this particular one. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. It's going to be a nice and detailed video. It's Dustin with TechMD. A little quick commercial break. We got a product called Liquid Glass that can cover your phone against $400 in damages or even $150 in damages. And it's super cheap and it's good for a whole year with no deductible. I'm going to have a link in the description below describing the whole product and how the whole process works in a separate video. Thanks for watching. Now back to the video. Okay, so we are going to start off with separating the back glass. And the reason why is the unit that we have right here looks like it's going to attach to the back of this frame. If you were to separate the glass, you're going to need to warm up the front and then run your Iflex tool here along the sides, rip off the old one, and then glue on the new one with T7000. But since we're not using the frame or the glass only, I was a little concerned about it sticking down, kind of like the Galaxy 10. We replace it with the frame. This is what we're doing with this one as well. So we're going to go ahead and just peel off all the plastic while the phone is warming up. That way we're ready to transfer all the components over. Looks like it has an in-fingerprint sensor reader here. This one's a camera-based, it looks like. That's cool. You can actually see the sensors here. There's sensors up here, sensors right there. Okay, so we're going to heat it up for about 2 to 3 minutes on the hot plate with 100 degrees Celsius. If you want to use a hair dryer, you're going to need to get it hot to the touch where you can barely touch it. It's just nice and toasty. Make sure obviously the phone is off. If you want to use a heat gun, do it about 30 seconds, just the back and forth motions here, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and pop out the SIM card. And, or not. Let's get a different tool here. Still nothing. It's a really deep, the card is in there, so you're gonna actually need a SIM card tool because none of my tools are working. And I'm not sure if this panel comes off around the sides or not. So we'll have to find out. Hopefully this is long enough. This is quite the troublemaker here. There we go. Barely long enough. Oops. So it looks like it separates right here, obviously, because it has to. So I don't know if we go through the back first and separate it or not. So I don't know if you need to actually heat this up. It's not really getting very hot either. Let's look for plastic tool and see if we can open it. Just gonna start on the side here and see what happens. It's giving me no access here. It's clearly, looks like it separates. Okay, so we're in. Ah! Just going to go around the device and see if this unclips or not. It doesn't really want to. It might be some screws holding it in. And if that's the case, then we need to separate it here. Let's see if we can get in here first. Just gonna run our Iflex tool down here. It's not very hot right now, but it's just plastic. It looks like it's not even glass. So you don't really need to warm up plastic too much, as long as the adhesive is not too strong. So we're just gonna keep our tool as flat as possible and not too deep because we don't know what's inside here. Cables all over this place and lots of glue. Jeez. Doesn't look like I cut a cable. That's good. I'm gonna go ahead and leave that on the hot plate to keep it nice and warm to stick back on. Just move our piece. It looks like you can damage these antennas, so be careful to make you keep your tool upward like this when coming through. And obviously, so you got these two main cables here that you got to be really careful about too. So fortunately, I did not damage anything here. All right, looks like we got standard Phillips. So I'd recommend, I've got a couple screwdrivers here to show you. So this is Qlin, Qianli. Really good one, has a flat blade here. And then it just sticks in and you can feel it sitting flush. It's anti-strip. Really good screwdriver. And then we got, and these are all available on the website in the link to the description below. 2UUL, okay? This helps you get in the nice tight areas. Has a really good grip as well. And if you're struggling with a magnetizer, to remagnetize your screwdrivers. Oops. Okay, but for speed, I like the well stick. And this is really only needed by professionals if you're doing a lot of screwdriving. Obviously, this needs to be ring magnetized here. Most of the time, you don't have to organize your screws in a Samsung phone because they're all the same size, but sometimes they're not. So I still organize. It's just a good habit to have when fixing phones. Just using my fingernail to help get it out. I shake it a little bit to get the screws going. Sometimes it needs it. It's kind of annoying, but that's what it is. It's not a very powerful screwdriver. It's meant to not strip your screws. It really doesn't work with any other bits, in my opinion, like tri-wing, standoff, and Pentalope. So I just use it only for Phillips. All right, let's try this again. Yeah, so it can come loose way easier. But wasn't sure, because sometimes these just come off without any screws, and other times they don't. And you need to take off the back panel. So this was glued on a little bit tight. We're just going to set that aside. Now we're just going to get a spudger and disconnect the battery here and a couple of these main cables. There's your camera right here. So if you're not really careful with the screwdriver, you could damage the components if you slip. So sometimes just hold your fingers near the screwdriver can help not damage things. So, you know, if you're doing this, just hold it down. That way you know it's not going to slip. There's the front cam, or the fingerprint camera. So I'm just going to try to caress this out of here. Looks like it's glued down a little bit. Just carefully using my spludger. So there's the glue. You could have warmed it up a little bit. Just be careful not to knock over those resistors. So don't use too much force. Okay, this looks like it needs to be disconnected too. That's for your front camera, or for your front screen. All right, so I like to start transferring things to the smaller one as we do it to not forget, you know, what we're doing. So I'm gonna get the new screen here. And it looks like those gaskets are there, which is nice. And yeah, everything is really there. So all we have to do is transfer these components here. And so I think what we're going to do is battery, actually, next. So what we're going to do for battery, since I don't see any clear pull tabs, we're going to put this on the hot plate for about a full minute to warm it up underneath. It's also warming up the screen as well. And then we're going to be able to pop that battery off. You can also use the heat gun for about 20 seconds, and not directly on the battery, but on the screen. Or a hair dryer. I actually was walking through the mall the other day here in Utah, and this company, there was a gentleman using a hair dryer directly on a battery. And I was thinking about calling him out, saying, what the heck are you doing? Don't ever put a hair dryer directly on the battery. You do not want to explode your battery, just in case your hair dryer gets a little too hot. Obviously, he's had a lot of experience doing that crazy job, but I would never recommend doing that whatsoever. That's a bad idea. So always just do it on the other side of the screen if you can. You know, it was a 6S. He could have easily flipped over the 6S and warmed up the back, you know, and where it's heat, not directly on the battery. Plus, the adhesive is on the other side, so just always warm up the screen. So when you actually, I'm sitting over here touching the battery, and it's hot to the touch, then you know it's warm enough, okay? So it's hot, but it's not like burning my hand. So I'm just going to take a blunt but not sharp tool to try to get this battery out. Looks like there's no pull tabs. And we don't want to bend the battery too much. Looks like there's no underneath cables that we have to worry about. But the battery's still fighting us. So what we're going to do is just get it hotter. You wait about 30 more seconds. As Zach says over at Jerry Rig Everything, we have to do the pry of shame. Some of the videos I've watched, he talks about that. And you gotta be really careful not to puncture this. Using a plastic blunt tool like a spudger here is ideal, but I'm almost recommending at this point a replacement battery. With a permanent glue there, that's really terrible. But as long as you don't get it exposed, you're fine. Just try to mold the battery back to its original form as much as possible. But with enough heat, you can remove these without damaging them too bad, as long as you use plastic spudgers and then like an iFix-It tool on the blunt side here. You do not want to puncture it. So what will happen if you puncture this is it's going to billow out a bunch of smoke. That's one of the reasons why I like working outside, but I also have to go to customers' homes. And so if I do have to do this pry of shame, I usually tend to do it outside and not inside if I can avoid it. Okay, so we've removed all the old excessive battery glue. Okay, and we're going to need to put some new adhesive down. Just enough to hold it down, but I use the 3M white tape because it's not as strong as black tape. So it's going to do a hold, but not obscene hold. Okay. Clip that in. Get this back in. Get the camera back in. Make sure everything's sitting flush. And I'm going to screw down the camera here. Okay, now we got to remove this motherboard. Now for the motherboard, I don't use electric screwdriver because I don't want to potentially damage it. Oops. Well, that just pops right out, doesn't it? That's cool. Okay, so it looks like we need to remove the speaker here. And oh, that's funny. This piece, oh, it must be attached to the board. We don't need that attached to the board. Pop this off if it's attached because your new frame already has one. So you're going to blast this with a heat gun or a hair dryer for a couple minutes. For a hair dryer, heat gun for about 20 seconds on the other side, and then we're going to pop these off. So I'm going to wait for my screen to warm up here. Okay, so after you've warmed up the side, you're going to take your tweezers here, be able to just unstick that, and then go ahead and place it immediately into the other side, nice and glued. Here's the more trickier part. You gotta be really careful about these, not to break them. So we're going to try to get underneath it here. And it looks like it came right off. Just make sure you get it nice and toasty here. So if you were to separate the screen, you would want to warm this up and only remove this piece here. And then you're going to pull that piece out and then put a new screen on. So it's pretty straightforward. But I wouldn't recommend that. This is only a few dollars more, and this is going to be a better piece for you. Overall, quality-wise, it's going to last longer too, because this is how Samsung likes to send them. And I know that they're original this way. Just putting that screw in. We're not going to plug in the battery yet. Let's get all this in here. Got to weave this cable through that hole right there, and then plug it in. All right. All kind of feels a little loose right now. It's okay. We're going to have it tightened down with that frame. Trying to get this frame clipped around the front here has been a little challenging. Let's see what's going on. It's fighting the ear mesh, or the microphone hole. So what we're going to do is lift it up a little bit here. Try to clip it up and around. No, still not. So there's something fighting it. We're going to pull it off and see what's fighting it. Maybe a piece off. Who knows? Front camera. Everything seems to be sitting right. The board might not be sitting just right. Let's see here. Let's unscrew that a little bit and adjust the board. No, it is sitting down. Okay, one more try. Try it from this angle, doing the front first. It's still fighting me right there. It looks like this piece here is fighting me for whatever reason. Has to be something to do with the board. Let's pull the board up. And see if I missed anything, but I'm pretty sure I moved that plastic piece out of the way. Let's pop this off. Could be this. Look like it. So let's experiment. Let's put that aside, and we'll just see if it clips in without the board in there. Yep, it clips in there without the board, so no fight. Something to do with the board alignment. let's make sure it's exact. Same specs and all. The rubber gasket's already moved over. That rubber gasket's moved over. Everything seems in order. Okay, this is more lined up now. That's what I was trying to do a second ago. Where'd that screw go to? Oh, there it is. Didn't make its way back on. So I'm going to hold the board down while I'm screwing this in. It wants to shift while I'm doing it though. Looks like the screw hole is slightly off. That's not good. We're not going to be able to put this screw in because the screw hole is slightly drilled off. I will make note to my supplier to make sure that they correct that. We're not going to be able to put that in. It's okay, at least we figured out the problem. Take a picture real quick. Okay, let's get this all clipped back in here. It's okay, we have a lot of other screws holding down the board, so it's not that critical, but it is something that it would bug a perfectionist. So remember, you want perfect alignment around there. I'll bet you anything that was it. Yep. Looks like it's all clipping in now. Perfect. Now we're going to put the rest of these screws in here. Hello. How you doing?
What are you working on?
I am fixing the phone.
Fixing the phone?
I am, yeah. I'm also filming on my YouTube channel.
Wait.
I'm a YouTuber, yes.
I'm also. So, how come you have a name?
Oh yeah?
A picture.
My son has a YouTube channel. Oh, is that Macy?
I know.
Huh?
I know.
Because of Emily?
Wait, Emily?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, my sister?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She comes visit.
My sister's cleaning me.
Yeah.
And my brother. They love dogs.
Yeah? He loves dogs, huh? Well,
We have to be the same age. That means Ella was born first and Finn was last. Yeah.
oh, you hear Gizzy? Gizzy loves this dog.
I know it makes a lot. Why you got two leashes out here? There's one and a blue one. Mama. After I had 40, he thanked you that to save you. Yeah. Yeah. Gordy was a pickle. Pickles? But by the super word.
Okay, so before sealing it up, you just have to turn it on and test it. Which I will do later.
Not the super fluffy
I got somebody around here watching me.
Macy had Jersey.
I do this outside my apartment.
Macy had a Jersey liquid.
So clip that on and then hold this down for about 30 seconds.
She was eating garbage.
Yeah?
Garbage, yeah. And she can't have any puppies. Because all she do, she will die.
Why? Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe.
Somewhere else.